Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Oh, we made it to Wednesday, you guys. Welcome to Run It Back. My name's Michelle. I've got Chandler and I've got Lou. Lou is looking extra youthful today, Chandler. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, he looks very tall today.
He does look very tall. What's going on here, buddy?
I don't know. It must be the camera angle. I do look a little slimmer than usual and a little taller than usual on camera.
I'll take I like a good camera. Hey, it's all about the angles. Guys, a lot of basketball. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. It was not a lot of basketball last night. There were a few basketball games last night, but we're going to get to the Cavs. You did it again. Another monster winning streak last night. Without the services of Donovan Mitchell, DeAndre Hunter, and Ty Jerome, they were down 18 to the Nets in the third quarter. It does not matter. It has not mattered. It's their 15th straight win, 109-104, the sixth team in NBA history with two 15-game win streaks in a single season. Yes, they have the best record. They're 24-6 against teams that are 500 or better. I think that's a pretty important little stat there, Chandler. And yet, we talked about it yesterday. We're going to talk about it every day until the playoffs and until they get here. But they're not the favorite to win the East. Boston still is. What can I do to sway you here?
I mean, listen, this team is fantastic. They have it all. They're 55-10. Like that is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. They have a little bit of everything. They have so much depth too that they can afford to sit guys and just plug in certain guys that can step up and can kind of produce for them. They have great guard play, obviously, and then their bigs have really taken the next step. Evan Mobley, his game has really expanded this year into that all-star level player where you could give him the ball, let him eat, or you can just let him kind of play off lobs and offensive rebounds and don't even have to get him involved, and he's still going to find a way to, stuff the stat sheet. So they do everything. The number one offense, they score the most points per game, and they're a top 10 defensive team. Usually that means you're a pretty good team, and this team just keeps getting better. And I think just the respect, I think it's more of a respect thing for the Celtics that we've seen them do it. We saw them dominate and run through the East last year. So I think people just trust them a bit more of their experience, because that's the only thing not in the Cavs' favor is that they haven't been there before. They haven't been to the big dance yet and won at a high level. But that's probably going to change this year because this team is very, very good. This team is no longer just a happy, feel-good story from a good start. This team is legit. They have it all. They score. They defend. They're deep. They have shooting. They literally don't have a weakness. So it's their only weakness might be the Boston Celtics and just running into that unbelievable starting five and team there. But it's going to be a great playoff, and I can't wait to see how they perform on the biggest stage.
Does it matter, Lou, if I told you, because there it is, the 24-6 against teams that are 500 or better. Boston's 22-12. Does that do anything? Or is it just a matter of we got to see it?
No, like I've always said, they're in two different positions, and they're preparing themselves for two different things that one team has experienced and another team hasn't. When you get all the way to the NBA Finals and then you win the NBA Finals, you have kind of the leeway to go into that next season and work on different things that you experience going through the playoffs, things that you can get better at, different parts of the game, bringing other guys along where you can be a deeper team to have depth. So you give other guys extended minutes and opportunities to come along for the ride that next season. I think that's what you're seeing in the Boston Celtics with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're going out there and just trying to play the best basketball they can to put themselves in the best possible spot that they can. So you got two teams working on two different angles to get to the same exact place, and that's what you see in the records. But once the playoffs start, everything that Boston has been working on or putting in position to get there, you will start to see that. Where you haven't really seen it now with the Cleveland Cavaliers, you see everything that they're working on day to day, everything that they're building. You're seeing the fruits of their labor day to day. So you have two different teams playing for two different things until they get to the playoffs. That's why I don't really care about the records at this point.
Eastern Conference Finals. Fast forward. Chandler mentioned Evan Mobley. Kendrick Perkins has called him the most important player on the team. He didn't say the best player necessarily, but the most important. And that as far as they go in these playoffs will depend on how far Evan Mobley can take them. What do you think about that one, Lou?
I would disagree with that. I will say this. I think Perk is right in the sense of he is the most important player. He's the wild card. Like, you know what you're going to get out of your star players, but your wild card, that third option is going to be the guy who's going to get you over the hill, get you over the hump of doing something really special. Now, is it on his back? That's the part I'm gonna disagree with. Like, that responsibility is always gonna weigh down on your star players. They're your stars for a reason. Even though Evan Mobley is an all-star, he was the third all-star, and we know that he's not the best player on that team. He doesn't have the responsibility of being the best player on the team. So we're not gonna get to the playoffs and all of a sudden say that them winning is gonna be on the back of Evan Mobley. No, them winning is gonna be on the back of Garland, and it's going to be on the back of Donovan Mitchell. Simple and plain. Now, whatever Evan Mobley gives you after that is going to be integral to what they're trying to accomplish, but it's not going to be on his back. I don't think that's fair to say. So I disagree with that part.
Yeah, I think he's a huge difference maker. And I mean, he's the X factor for this team, just because you know what you're going to get pretty much from Donovan Mitchell. Everyone's no secret. He's their best player. He's their everything. If Donovan Mitchell were to go down, this team would take a big hit. If Evan Mobley were to go down, I think this team still wins a lot of games. Now, that doesn't mean he's not the most important player because of the leap that he's made this year, the production he's putting up, the defense he provides. I mean, you see there, he's minus 240 to win Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, with now out, but that just shows you his impact for this team on both sides of the ball. But come playoff time, they're going to be taking the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands. They're going to be blitzing him. They're going to be trapping him at half court. Can these other guys, can Garland be consistent and go get you 30, 40 points in a playoff game? Can Mobley get you that 25 and 15 when these guards are having an off shooting night and they need to get to the ball to the interior? So I think his growth just of aggressiveness and just him just having that demeanor more this year of give me the ball, I want the ball, I can dominate on just the defensive end without even scoring. That is why he's the X factor. He's not their best player, but he's definitely the X factor.
He's consistently been talked about by anyone who covers that team or even remotely talks about them, the growth and how he's added to his game. So it has been interesting to watch. Right now, though, if we're going to do a little math, they're on pace to win 68 games. That would be a franchise record because the last pace set was 66, of course, when LeBron was there. You know this conversation's coming, Chandler. If they pass the 66, is this the best Cavs team in history?
They got to win a championship. They got to go and do what K-Love and LeBron and Kyrie Irving did. But regardless, this team has been nothing shy of amazing. No one thought this team would be this good, this elite of a record. And again, they have the potential to win this many games because they're so deep. They can afford to rest one or two guys every night and put in the Dean Wades and the Ty Jeromes and the Merrills, and the Okoro just plugs in the starting lineup last night and he plays well. So they can go 10, 11, 12 deep, which is great for the regular season. That's great for winning a lot of games. Who's going to get, kind of out of the rotation in the playoffs once they shorten those rotations? How's that going to, adjust that locker rooms? Are going to be some unhappy guys? Who knows? But there's nothing to do besides celebrate this team so far this season and what they've accomplished.
Yeah. And Chandler, yeah. I'm sorry, Beadle, but Chandler, do we consider the 2008 team that won 66 games a better team than the 2016 team, I believe, was it 16, that won a championship? Like, do we consider them a better team than that team? No. So the wins doesn't make you the best team in history. It makes you the most winning team. It doesn't make you the best. The best team comes home with the trophy. So, I mean, it'd be great for them to win 67, 68 games, but it's an invisible record. It's an invisible piece of history where it's not really something that fans and everybody celebrate. You celebrate when you win the ring.
I know. My biggest fear is they do all this and then they somehow peter out in the playoffs. And I'm trying not to worry about things you can't worry about. That's my new mantra. Bucks Pacers had a crazy, crazy ending. There's a 4-point play, the huge to carry this one out. Gary Trent hits the 3. That's 1:07 left on the clock. That's a ridiculous shot right there. And one. Giannis goes back, has a chance to tie it up, misses. So let's just look at the Haliburton shot, if we can, for a second. Take me through difficulty. What am I looking at, Jalen? That's stupid.
I mean, that's an extremely difficult shot. even if there wasn't a 7-foot defensive, unbelievable stuff guarding you. Just clutch. This is a big time shot. It's a great play, kind of freeing him up, let him get full speed. Honestly, it's some huge mental lapse by Giannis. You cannot do that down up 3, and you're not even supposed to be giving up a 3, let alone fouling a 3-point shooter. This is the only thing that could have went wrong for this. But great play by Carlisle. They didn't give him time to even foul, to not even let him get the shot off. But this is just a big time play by a big time player.
By the way, Luke, they have run that before. Wait, say that again? Yeah, they ran it against the Celtics. It didn't work, but
well, there you go. That's why we didn't know that.
Yeah, they've tried it. They have tried it. But what did you think about it? Because it's crazy looking.
I thought it was a funky play, and it worked. I wonder who was Giannis supposed to be guarding, because right here, yeah, he's playing safety right there, and then he runs over to try to. And Brook Lopez is guarding an inbounder. Usually on plays like this, if you're not going to get a deflection or take away the baseline, he's supposed to take away the baseline. So as much as this is Giannis' fault, that was just a complete defensive breakdown on all of their ends, because that's the natural thing. When you're guarding an inbounder, you're either going to turn around and guard somebody, double somebody, or you're going to take the baseline pass away. That's your job. Brook Lopez didn't do that. Giannis makes a mistake by not giving them an opportunity to land. They earned this loss.
So you mentioned the defense, like what all went wrong and what they were supposed to do. After this one, HALIBURTON called it a football play. So I'm wondering, you said you haven't really seen it very often. Do we have an issue, by the way, with him doing the Dame time thing again?
I don't have
He did it
I
again.
don't have an issue with it. You know why I don't have an issue with it? Because the cameraman's being messy. He zooms in on Tyler HALIBURTON. They put a highlighted light on him in a reel. I know that's his job, but it's like, it wasn't like he was in the camera doing it or whatever.
Was he not?
He kind of snuck one to himself and kept going, and the cameraman from up top so zoomed in and put a.
Wait, what is this? How do you sneak a little celebration? Like, what even is the point?
It's the difference between. This is for everybody. Yeah.
All right, see if we can see it again. I don't know if we can see it again. I'm just asking.
Yeah, it was a little sneaker, but I don't have a problem with it. This is basketball. We're being competitive, and if we're gonna talk trash and do these things, he started doing it last year in the play-in tournament, and we haven't seen him make a lot of game winners to do this celebration. I don't have a problem with it, but I thought the cameraman was a little messy.
You blame the cameraman.
I love that you're blaming the cameraman. He's doing his job. By the way.
Yeah, but I'm blaming him on the angle. Listen, he's not one of the floor. Yeah, he was one of the camera guys at the top. That's where we got this angle from. And then you put the big ring light focus on him to make this a thing, but it's funny.
So did anyone else here think immediately about Tim Hardaway Sr.? Because his thing was, well, obviously he wants to fight him, but it was also that Tyrese HALIBURTON only talks when they're winning, and he doesn't have the same energy like for any other time with the smack talk. So Chandler, did you immediately I did. That's what I thought of immediately, which is weird, but.
Yeah, I mean, I just immediately thought about him wanting to go at him, and honestly, I still haven't seen the Dame time, celebration.
Can we
there.
see it?
Listen, I like it. It's all part of the competition, and this has happened before with these exact two teams. And Dame said, "Listen, humble in your wins, because it turns quickly in this league. So as long as he's okay with that, and the repercussions of it coming back the other way one of these days, that's fine. But I love it. Let's make more rivalries in the NBA. Let's make this more exciting. So I have no problem with it. And that was an unbelievable shot.
There's the strategy moment. Unfortunately, there's just not time left, but Doc does challenge the foul call on that 3. He loses it, no timeouts, yada, yada. I don't know what else you're supposed to do there, though, Chandler, like strategy wise. You kind of, there's no time.
I think in a play like that, where the game is basically over, if you don't challenge it, you have to. And this is why I think it's so crazy when coaches burn a challenge, even if it's obvious early on in the first half, second, even in the third quarter. You have to save a challenge for the end of the game. For this, I would say it didn't work out because he did foul him, but there's no risk into keeping at least one of those challenges to be able to, win the game right here on an honest mistake by the referee. So I like him doing it. You don't get to use another one next game if you don't use them all this game. So I think it's an obvious challenge here, and I think it's smart that he at least had one there, because if this were to be a foul and they were out of a challenge on like a tic-tac foul in the first quarter, that would be an issue. So as a coach, you have to continue to save yours for a play like this. It just didn't work out for him because he clearly fouled him.
I know. I feel like more times than not, it's they just don't have a challenge left. So I don't know how we could get on him for that. By the way, if we're going to look at standings as we like to do, both teams 36 and 28. The Bucks have the 4 spot because they have the head-to-head win 2-1 so far. Pacers just a few percentage points behind. So just go ahead and prognosticate who ends up in the 4 spot, Chandler.
Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're just a better team. I think they're more. You with Damian Lillard and Giannis again, it's just a trust factor where I trust those guys more. Pacers are coming on hot. They started off so shaky. We know how good their offense can be. Tyrese Halliburton, even last night, the big play, he took 12 shots. Like, he had 14 points, 10 assists. I'd like to see him get those numbers way up. Siakam's been great. He's putting up 25 and 12. Naismith has been good. Turner's been good. So they have a great team. I just trust, and I like the Bucks a little bit more.
You agree, Lou?
Yeah, I got to agree with Chandler. I like the Bucks. I trust them more. I usually lean towards the team that has the most talent. As talented as Indiana is, they don't have a Giannis and they don't have a Dame Lillard. They do have a Tyrese Halliburton, and they do have a Siakam. But I don't think when it comes down to those guys, I like what they're doing in Milwaukee better. Plus, I like the supporting cast better. I think Milwaukee's going to end up with their 4th seed.
And if you're keeping up, their 4th and final game does take place Saturday in Milwaukee. So we'll pay attention if Halliburton talks smack if they're down. Now that's all I'm going to pay attention to, unfortunately, for the Pacers. Thanks a lot, Tim Hardaway Sr. Clippers Pelicans. This is a weird one. But Zion had a night, and we do love that. Triple-double for Zion. They win 127-120, finished with 22-10, a career-high 12 assists, second triple-double of the season. Kawhi Leonard finished with 29 and 8 rebounds. Now, Zion has scored 20 or more in 9 of his last 10 games. And I got to be honest that he's played over 30 minutes. We should keep the same energy from when we rip him all the time, and I mean the collective we, not just the 3 of us. Because he's been playing so well. But I also want to ask you guys, do we somehow remain cautiously optimistic about his health, Lou? Like, how do we sort of temper these two worlds?
No, he's playing well. He's playing a lot of minutes. He's a pro. This is what's expected. This is what he should do. And he's playing well. Why would you start being cautious or anything? Allow him to go out there and be who's supposed to be. He's supposed to have been playing 30 minutes a game for years on end. And now that you have a run where he's playing high minutes at a high level, why would you wind that back? Why would you be worried about that? No, ride this thing until the wheels fall off. Hopefully nothing happens. But again, injuries is part of the game. You can't go out there and worry about everything that can happen. Just go out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win games like the Pelicans have been able to do. And plus, I think this is great for Zion and his morale moving forward. Like, it's good to see him be on the floor and be available and be effective, having a triple-double and scoring over 20 points a game. That got to be great for him to feel. So you don't want to rip away that confidence by being cautious now based on something that hasn't happened yet. You got to allow him to ride this thing out.
I mean,
Yeah, first of all,
wins.
he's playing great, and it's never been about him playing well. It's about him playing, right? So I think a guy like him, a guy like Joel, Kawhi, Klay Thompson, someone like that, you just kind of hold your breath every time they get rolling because you love to see them on the floor and you don't want to see them injured again. So I think that's natural. I think you kind of walk around on eggshells, just, okay, when is he going to go down again? Which is fair, call it not fair. It's just, if history is going to repeat itself, we don't know how long he can stay on the floor. But I'm with Lou. Like, right now, let's enjoy this production. Let's enjoy this dominance and these highlights. He looks unbelievable. He's dunking on the right. He's also getting a triple-double, so he's getting his players involved. He's getting his teammates involved. He's making the extra pass. He's playing unselfish. So this is the version of Zion that the Pelicans need to have any sort of chance or future. Now, again, this is also the version of Zion that maybe another team will bite and make a package and they can get off the time. So I think regardless, him playing well is great for him. It's great for the team. It's great for the league because he is unbelievable when he's healthy. And it's always just a It's been about his availability. That's it. When he plays, he's dominant.
I mean, it falls under the don't worry about what you can't worry about. Like that's where that goes right there. And
but I do get worried.
Sure,
like I do.
Of course.
This is like, how long can he do this? So, you know what I mean? I think that's pretty natural.
And I feel like with the 18 wins, this is what it is. Like, why wouldn't you want to see everything he can do while he's out there? I'm with Lou. Like the morale and the confidence has got to be sort of on shaky ground. And maybe he even doubts his own body, and you don't want to sort of put that in his head even more. But there was obviously the loss on the Clippers side, and James Harden had a great night, 25 and 17 assists. He's averaging 22 and 9. He's 35. And we don't seem to talk about him in the same aging like fine wine category that we put some of the others in. Do we feel like we're maybe not talking about James Harden enough? Is he underrated, Chandler?
I mean, no, he was an all-star. He was an all-star. He's having a heck of a year. Their team is having a great season. I think when you have a guy like Norman Powell that also could have been an all-star, you kind of bring up that debate. Could it have been him? Could it have been here, James Harden? But no, he's had a great year. He's had a great career, and he is one of those guys that we are going to miss when he's gone, because he's just been so consistent and he's changed the game. We always talk about how he changed the foul calls. He's still efficient. He can still be a number one option on a team. So you got to give him all the flowers too, just being able to have this longevity of his career, because there was rumors and there's talks about him, you know, early on. How he liked to get after it. He liked to drink a little bit. He had weight issues. And that's all just a distant memory now. He's completely revamped his image. His career has still been on, you know, a trajectory that's going up and up and up. And he's obviously a huge piece to this team. This is a big loss. They need Norman Powell back badly because they just don't have enough without him. But James Harden's had a hell of a year.
By the way, yeah, what happened to that guy? Like the guy with the duffel bags with cash for birthday party friends. Like, I feel like we've seen nothing fun out of James Harden anymore. What's going on? Lou's got no insight. All right, fine. You don't want to tell us? That's fine. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up on the other side, are the Boston Celtics the most disrespected champion in NBA history? We'll discuss next.
Run it up, run it back,
yeah, of course. Of course, it's say what? Kendrick Perkins has become quite the fountain of quotes. This time, saying that the Celtics are the most... He's a fountain of quotes. Disrespected champions in NBA history, Lou. Do you agree with that? I already can think of, you know, one big team, but go on.
I disagree.
Thank you.
I don't know. It's hard for you to be the most disrespected team in NBA history when everybody thinks that you're gonna repeat and do it again. Like that's a sign of respect when everybody thinks that you're gonna repeat and you're gonna be back in the position that you were in last year with the same group of guys. I don't know how that would be considered disrespect. I also don't know the context and what he was comparing this to or what he was saying. But if I really, really like something, it's not disrespectful if I like a restaurant and I'm saying, yo, tomorrow I'm going back to this restaurant, that's not disrespect towards the restaurant, right? Especially if the majority of people are saying the same thing. So I don't know, maybe they're not being talked about as much, but when they do get talked about, the consensus is this is the team that's going to repeat this year. So I don't know where he got to that.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. The Cavs are 55-10. They could possibly win 8 games, and yet the Celtics are still the favorite to come out of the East and to win the championship. So I don't know how that's disrespect. I think that they're clearly the most trusted, respected team since training camp. It's literally, I don't think it's ever changed. It's never wavered, no matter the start that the Cavs have had, the runs that the Knicks have went on. It's always been the Celtics coming out of the East. So I disagree with this. And last year, I think they had an easy run to the path. They had a great path from injuries and certain matchups they had. But they handled their business last year, and they're the favorites to repeat. So yeah, I fully disagree with this.
You know what this is, Chandler? This is the Celtics mentality, us versus everybody. Perk's trying to get the guys going. He's trying to get the people going. That's all this is. This is us versus everybody and trying to get everybody to buy into the fact that nobody likes them. But this is the furthest thing from the truth. You know, they tried to pick apart Jaylen Brown, tried to pick apart Jayson Tatum, tried to pick them apart collectively. And so they're just buying into this narrative that nobody likes them. But when we're done talking with all of that stuff, whether Jayson Tatum is boring, whether JB is whatever they want to characterize him as, they're still the favorites to repeat. That's no sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
I think every fan base feels this.
If he said Jayson Tatum is the most disrespected player, I could argue. I could rally around that. The Boston Celtics, everyone's been saying they're the best team all year long.
I can think of years when the Spurs were not respected as champs. So maybe it's just whoever you root for or you side with, you feel like isn't being respected enough.
Now who's the homer, beast?
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm telling you, every fan base, unless you throw a parade every day, we feel disrespected.
I'm sure the Raptors got something to say. Like when they won the chip in 2019, I'm sure they have something to say about it.
Yeah, they brought in a mercenary and he took care of business and that was it. So there's no respect for that championship. I mean, I get it, but Boston, come on. Speaking of, I love that we're going from hey, they're disrespected, no one talks about them or Jayson Tatum, to the following. Seth Greenberg said that Cooper Flagg reminds him of a Jayson Tatum, Grant Hill, Scottie Pippen, Chandler. What do you think about these comparisons for this guy?
You know why this means Cooper Flagg's different? Because we're not just comparing him to another white dude that's played in the NBA. This dude is different. To compare him to those three names, which I see the similarities. I see the personality, and I got the dog in him. He's got the swag in him. He's got the game. I think he needs to work on his shot and become a much more consistent outside three-point shooter. But the kid's a stud. I've seen people say he's the greatest Duke, freshman of all time, which remember, everyone's coming out of there. Two of those guys right there. And he has high expectations. He has potential, franchise of an organization, face of the league type of hype going into it. And there's still rumors that he might go back to college. So this kid's a stud. He's going to be very, very good. I think it's going to take him a little bit longer than some people are assuming, but he's got it all. He's dominated. I mean, dude's freshman of the year, player of the year. Like, he's probably going to win national player of the year. He already got conference player of the year. They're going to be a 1 seed. So I don't know what more he can do in the college level. I think he should definitely come out, but hey, he's probably enjoying college.
Why would he stay?
And guess what, Cooper?
NIL money. He's making money.
But
forget the similarities. Don't go back to school. It's going to be the same teams next year, bro. Come on out.
I was gonna say, like, it's not changing. Like, the Wizards aren't all of a sudden
next year, bro.
Gonna crush next year. Yeah, just get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. You'll change teams eventually.
That 4 or 5 million you're making at Duke is cute. You're gonna be making 40, 50 million if you come out. Go ahead and be the number 1 pick.
What are we even talking
to the bank, bro. You'll be all right.
Exactly. You'll find a group of friends. It's going to work out. Cooper, you're going to be fine. Dwight Howard, this one's fun. Dwight Howard says that he got kicked off the Lakers after they won that 2020 title, Lou, because he called LeBron a name that you can't say on TV. Yeah. Are you buying that?
No, I'm not buying that. I saw the clip of those guys talking on the pod, and I think Mario Chalmers was serious. We saw that blow up on TV in the huddle. So he was serious. It's hard to get kicked off a team when you win a championship and you're a free agent and they just don't bring you back. I think Dwight was just being funny, adding on to the story when he said this. But no, how can you get kicked off a team when you're a free agent and y'all win a championship? You're just not coming back. That's not being kicked off of a team. But I also saw, like I said, I saw this. I saw the context of it. I think he said it in jest as a joke to be funny. I thought Mario Chalmers was being dead serious because we saw that play out. Yeah, we saw that play out, but I don't think that's the reason that the Lakers didn't bring him back.
I love it. I just love it anyways. Chandler, why are you just laughing? What name could it be? Let's just think if it was.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of so many names, and I'm thinking LeBron did leave his Pat Riley took his cookies, so maybe it is true. I don't know, but it all seems petty, and I'm not buying it if that's the question. But it's funny. I didn't see the clip though either, so I don't know how.
I mean, you can't get fired if you're not employed. Is basically the gist of what Lou said. Anyway,
fire me. I quit.
I quit.
Get fired on your day off.
Just like, oops, the worst. Carmelo, we're going to stay on the LeBron thing for a second here. Carmelo Anthony said that he's never seen him as happy as he's been looking these days playing the game. Obviously, he's hurt at the moment, but when he was out there with Luka, that was a happiness, Chandler, that he had not seen before. Do you agree?
I mean, he looks pretty happy in his, early on in his career winning championship. He looked pretty happy winning the championship with the Lakers already. But listen, he's healthy. He's playing at an unbelievable level. Let's not forget that his son is living out his dream on the bench, watching him do this at such an elite age and production level. So then you add a LUKA that kind of can relieve the pressure.
Wait, did you just say his kid's living out his dream on the bench watching his dad play basketball?
I'm just saying, like that was the whole idea, right? To wait and play, keep playing. No, I mean that wasn't even a knock. I'm saying his whole dream was to play with his son. He's doing that this year. How is he not stoked? And they're winning, and they get LUKA, and he's playing like dude's 5th or 6th in MVP voting right now, and literally going to work every day with his son. Like he should be as happy as he ever had. And their team is very good, and they're contenders. So yeah, I agree. Listen, he's had such a hell of a career with everything he's accomplished, but right now he should be stoked.
And I think he's just at peace, right? Like you're 40 years old, you're in your 21st season. We don't really have we have an expectation level because it's LeBron James, but if they don't win a championship, it's not going to be the end of the world. And people aren't going to be super critical of the Los Angeles Lakers. They've put themselves in a pretty good position to be respected, but that's not how this conversation started, and that's not where we are when it comes to LeBron James and his brand at this point in his career. Like, we're just enjoying seeing him break records night in and night out and making history night in and night out, but we don't have them touted as a championship team. Everything that they're doing is great. And it's great for the Los Angeles Lakers, but we didn't start this team saying it's championship or bust or any of these expectations. So at this point in his career, like, it's solidified who LeBron James is. The only time that we have a LeBron James debate, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan is involved in that conversation. So when you get to that place in your superstardom and in your brand and what you've been able to accomplish, you can be at peace because you have nothing left to prove to anybody or put stats on the board to make people put you in a certain category of conversation that you're already in.
Also, I would have to imagine in his mind, he's like, ooh, a possible extension of a year or two based on what they look like now versus maybe how they started the season. How could you not be happy at that? Dan LeBatard, shout out, said that people around the Heat and with the Heat have always viewed Jimmy Butler as a, quote, unstable ingredient. They were relieved, a lot of them, that he left because no one wanted to be at work. Damn. Are you surprised to hear, Lou, that the issues seem to have always been there with Jimmy Butler?
Not surprised at all. You got one guy who has a fiery personality that has a history of going back and forth with teammates and coaching staffs and organizations. You had your issues in Chicago, had your issues in Minnie, had your issues in Philly. And then on the flip side of that coin, you have an organization who has a term Heat culture where they're very stubborn and they're going to do things their way. And then you have a player who has always done things his way. And so once you add both of those things, it's like oil and water. How long can this last at a sustainable level where it could be a peaceful environment? And at some point it was going to run its course, and that's what happened, So I'm not surprised that that at some point it was going to blow up, or even if it was brewing underneath the surface this entire time, because again, you have two sides that are very stubborn in their ways, and at some point they were going to butt heads. So no, I'm not surprised by this sentiment at all.
That's
tough, I'm with Lou. I mean, he's a repeat offender, right? He's been in the mix, in the headlines for pretty much every franchise he's played for. And with his time in Miami, they had some success and they won some games. But you always saw the rifts. I keep thinking back to the one clip of him and Spo going at it, and Udonis Haslam basically saying he will beat him up if he, there's always been some fire there. And I think that's what makes Jimmy Butler who Jimmy Butler is, but that's also what kind of hurts him in a way, reputation wise and locker room wise. But there's no doubt he's a great player, but talent can only get you so far. And when you're in a situation like that with a Pat Riley, with a Spoelstra, they have their system, they have their guys, and they have their orders, and they want you to follow them. When you don't, yeah, I think that kind of can create a distraction, an unstable, environment there to work in. And that's why you saw it, I think, go so sour. Clearly, all these reports were real because he was not going to play for them and they were going to move him, and they did. So I totally.
But having people not want to be at work because of you that's a tough look.
I don't know what that means. That means like,
well, we know, like we all know people. We've worked with people who have been around or heard the stories of people who like have high turnover because no one wants to work with them.
I mean, he was like rude to like the PT and the chef, or like who didn't want to come. I don't know. I don't know.
Not necessarily, but it can make the environment feel tense. So even if he's not mean to you, and I'm not talking about just him, whoever, it makes the whole thing just feel unfun. And then people are like turned off by it.
Been there before.
You don't have to be mean. Yes, haven't we all? We talked a little bit about De'Aaron Fox yesterday and how the firing of his coach and all that stuff, it sort of left a bad taste because he looked like he was taking the heat. I'm going to ask a very devil's advocate question here, Lou. Actually, no, I'm going to go to Chandler first because he's already mentioned, we know now there was no list of teams he wanted to go to. It was going to be San Antonio. He wanted what was best for his career, did not, care what happens to the Kings, just my career first. Devil's advocate, is it fair for the player to put himself first?
Yeah, it is. Teams get to draft you. Teams get to offer you contracts. Teams get to decide how many minutes you play, and the teams decide most of the part. The least a player can do is decide where he wants to go. And if it's not the best fit for his career, an NBA career is very, very short. It goes really, really fast. And when it's over, you look back and you want to enjoy your time. You want to be happy. You want to compete. You want to go to war with the guys that you want to go to war with. So if this wasn't working here, I think he has every right to go somewhere else. And this was just interesting to me because, there was initially rumors how Fox and Brown weren't agreeing and they weren't on the same page. Now it's like, once they're going to fire Fox, then Fox definitely wanted out because that was kind of his last, kind of thing that he didn't like that the franchise was doing with in the kind of direction they were going. But yeah, I think players should, obviously it's a team game, and once you're there and you're committed, I think you need to buy into the system and your roles and things like that. Once you're there, you have to be committed to the team, but going and playing where you want to play. And deciding on, which team to choose in free agency in a certain situation like this where it's run its course, 100% the player has every right to do this. And they should. Because you know what? Next year, maybe the Kings trade him to some franchise that he does not want to be at if he doesn't do this.
True. So it's also nice for the Spurs to be wanted. I mean, let's just focus on the positive here. And as a little career advice, you should always put yourself first. I don't care what your job is. They're not going to be loyal to you. Remember that. NBA writer Sam Amico said the Lakers, Mavs, Spurs, and Heat are all expected to pursue Kevin Durant in the offseason. We've already just decided he is moving, right, Lou? What do you think about these options? Does one stand out for you? It's a hell of a list.
Honestly, the only one that stands out for me is probably going to be maybe the Spurs, maybe the Heat. Like I could see the Spurs where you can play alongside Wemby, where they can create some real matchup problems. And Wemby is going to be the guy that's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting on the defensive end. Also, the Heat needs a scoring punch. They need to pair somebody up with Tyler Hero to kind of get them over the hump. But all the other teams, Lakers, Mavs, I can't really see that working out. But I like the Spurs and the Heat.
Okay.
It's interesting because I like the Lakers and the Mavs. I think at this point of his career, he just wants to win, right? And I think right now with a healthy Luka and LeBron, again, it's a big ask because LeBron's gonna be 41. But then a healthy AD and Kyrie, I think that makes more sense. Obviously, the Spurs are really enticing. They're on the rise in the future. We don't know how much longer Kevin Durant is going to play. And that would be so much fun to see KD and Wemby on the court this time. The Heat, I just feel like after everything that's happened with them and KD and him, I don't know if that's what he wants at this point of his career. I think he wants to win. And I think next year and the best chance of winning are the Lakers and the Mavs.
My position is no more super teams for KD. No more supers.
I don't think that's what I was thinking. If he goes to the Lakers, doesn't that just reek of
like
something?
no more supers. Like go somewhere where
Spurs
You
aren't a
know,
super.
they're up and coming. You got some young stars that can do their thing, and you can add to that. You can be the OG. You can be the vet. You can be the guy that they're gonna throw the ball to when they need a bucket for sure. But let these young guys do the heavy lifting. You know, you go to San Antonio, it's gonna be the Wemby and De'Aaron Fox show, and KD, you'll be there, and you'll be that. I'm not gonna say Kevin Durant is gonna be a third option, but you can allow these young guys to be the focal point of what they're building, and you can go out there and be yourself. With the Lakers, with the Mavs, it's going to be the same old narrative. It's going to be the same conversations, the same critiques and criticisms every time they lose a game or they don't go on a run that we expect them to go on. It's going to be the end of the world. You don't want to end your career like that. You don't want to spend your last years like that. Go with some young, fresh energy and build from there.
Michelle, let me ask you a question. Would you want Kevin Durant on the Spurs next year?
I would. I just love Kevin Durant. And I do think there's fire there, and he's still amazing to watch. Also, the lankiest team in the history of the NBA. Can you imagine Wemby and Durant there's no body fat anywhere to be found on that court. Let's go.
The original unicorn and the new unicorn together.
I would like it. I also I like him. And so for me, I think fans would be all in on that. If he just wants to go and score a bunch, yeah, we're here for that.
Well, I'm just picturing them playing like a 2-3 zone defense and KD.
they might as well go get Bo too.
Oh my God, zero body fat. It's just almost a deficit, really. I'm interested in what you guys think about what Cam Thomas had to say, because he was asked about whether or not he's changed a bit of his approach. Now he's averaging 6.5 assists last 2 games. His response said no. He's been passing the ball the whole time, but now his teammates are making shots. Chandler, it's a little weird. It's a little interesting if you're his actual teammates. How do you take it?
I mean, it's factually true. If he's diming his teammates out there not making shots, but this isn't something you want to hear, I guess, as a teammate. This is one of those where I need to see the video, right? I need to see tone. I need to see his tone in this video because I feel like
context. Why?
I need context. I feel like he's halfway like kidding. Like if he said this and laughed, and then it's humorous. If he said this dead ass serious, then he's kind of out of line. But I don't have a problem with it. I think he's got that personality, and he's got this kind of this makeup of he's just a bucket, and he's now turned into this playmaker. And listen, as long as he's making the right pass and his teammates, he doesn't get the assist, they don't make it. So I feel him on it, but I need I need to see the video to fully understand what he said here.
I don't look. I can read you the whole quote, and I think it helps a little bit. Okay. I've been doing that. They're just making it. That's how assists are. Pass it to them. My teammates got to make it, and they're making it. So it goes on the stat sheet as an assist. But I've been doing the same thing, playing the same way all year. They're just making shots, and they're going up as my assists.
See, that's why you need context, because when you read that, it sounds crazy. But if he's saying it with a smile on his face, or he's laughing or anything, that completely changes.
No smile. I can confirm. No smile on his face. Now maybe he's deadpan. I don't know.
With the slight laugh or smile, it's okay. If he's saying it dead ass serious, then it's a little strange.
Okay, so it's awkward. All right, I just want to make sure. Look, we are deadpan people, so we could deliver that with no smile and still be very sarcastic. I don't know Cam Thomas like that. We'll find out. T-Wolves, we're going to take a quick break. We have said nothing about what they've been able to do with Julius Randle back on the court, and we changed that after the break.
Run it back, run it up.
All right, is this something? So this is a fact, Lou. The Minnesota Timberwolves have won 10 straight games that Julius Randle has been back in the lineup for. He's averaging 18, 7, and 6. Is this win streak something?
It got to be something. They were late to the party, and give these guys credit. You know, we gave the Minnesota Timberwolves a hard time about the cat trade. We didn't, and then they got out to that slow start. Didn't look like this was going to be a great mix, and now they finally figured it out. And what a time to figure it out when you're going into the postseason. This is a great time for everybody to be on the same page, and for Julius Randle to be playing at this level. You know what Ant-Man is going to bring, Naz Reid, the rest of these guys. So this is great. This is something. I'm gonna give them their credit for this. This is a great thing. This is great for Julius Randle, and this is great for Minnesota moving forward.
God, that's,
Yeah,
that's huge.
anytime you win games and whatever that formula is, it's something. Anytime you lose games, it's something. So as much as we've talked about Julius Randle not fitting or taking too much time or not meshing with Rudy Gobert, the fact that he is 10-0 in their last 10 games on the floor is 100% something. And this team's went through a lot of adversity. This team, Dante DiVincenzo is out. Mike Conley's been out, who's kind of the head of their snake at the point guard position. Nas Reed has filled in beautifully, and you get Dillingham. Young guys have had some opportunity there. But when this team is whole, they are still they're still pretty much a contender in my eyes. If they can kind of turn this quarter and continue to do this with Julius Randle in the lap, they can find a way to put him in spots to let him be him while fitting in. So I think this is something. I'm happy for Julius Randle that he's kind of getting his legs and finding his comfortable positions on the floor, because they're going to need him to have a chance.
It's crazy. It's just been done so quietly. Like everyone crushed Julius Randle, and now that this is happening, it's crickets. And I've heard nothing.
By the way, they're 37 and 29. Like, it's not horrible, and they can continue to rise in the standings too.
Yeah, so it's something. All right, we agreed on that one. Chandler, you're up next. Josh Giddey averaging 23, 11, and 8 in 9 games since the All-Star break. Before that, you can see his numbers, 12, 7, and 6. Is that something?
Yeah, I mean, it's on a team that's struggling. It's on a team that's not really going anywhere this season. So I think those numbers are a little inflated. His usage rate is inflated. His minutes are a little bit inflated, but yeah, he's there's a reason he was a high pick in the draft. He's a big, strong point guard that has great vision. You can see some of these dimes he's dropping, and I think his shot has kind of been the most inconsistent thing of his career so far. So if he continues to work on that, he could be efficient. He's always had the feel and the size and the vision as a big point guard, but listen, 23, 11, and 8, I don't care how many games that is. That's a hell of a stretch. So, yeah, I think he's found something here, and I think that, he's young enough to where he can continue to do this for years to come.
That is a crazy increase, Lou. Oh, no, not okay. Not something. Nothing.
Listen, it's something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's something. Like these are great numbers, but like if it doesn't impact winning or gets a team to a position to be great and win a bunch of games, then they're empty stats. Now, what I will say is when you have a guy that's rolling like this, you can move him to another team or bring in guys where these stats will mean something. At this present moment, they just stats, Unfortunately, they're just stats, and I don't want to discredit the run that he's on. But again, you do all of these things to impact winning. The name of the game is to win basketball games. It's not to run up stats. So as much as we applaud guys for individual things of that nature, it's all great. But if it doesn't impact the final goal, then it's just stats. So it's something.
Trying.
Shout out to JG. He's trying. Shout out to JG, but he's not getting them over the hump with that. So I don't know what it is.
All right, he gets the shout out. That's something. Quick break, more Run It Back on the other side. Just a few seconds left. Lou, who you got? Thunder Celtics tonight.
Give me the Celtics at home. I always like the Celtics on their own home court.
Chandler.
Yeah, I'm rolling Boston. No James Williams. We're going to see what they're made of. This is a huge game. Could be a preview of the finals to the Celtics.
All right. Don't hate it. Don't agree, but don't hate it.
Run it back, yeah. Run it up, you run it back, yeah.